Simon Helmot, coach of the Melbourne Renegades. He's done it with the men, he's done it with the women, he's now got that title. Simon, how does that feel? Premiership winning coach.
Whitey, Curb, thanks for having me. A lot of relief. I woke up this morning feeling very satisfied that, we had a successful campaign. Just really proud of Soph and Georgia and Hayley and the whole team, the whole squad, the whole organisation. It was a huge preparation, a huge build-up for us after disappointing a WBBL 9. So, yeah, relief is the first one, Whitey. But certainly a lot of satisfaction.
So I want to reference the conversation you had with the players in the locker room that we're able to watch, courtesy of the Melbourne Renegades social media team, digital media team, where you talked about belief and talked about not panicking and understanding that this group is different to previous years. Do you look back on that as being a hugely significant moment in your season?
It certainly was, and it was really born from two players coming to me that particular weekend at the Junction. I remember a couple of things from that weekend. Courtney Webb having a breakout match, making a 60, I think, against the Scorchers, and then Soph, that unbelievable 60 off 30 balls against the Strikers. So there was two individual efforts which were fantastic. We hadn't really got that from our non-overseas batters in the last couple of years. But both Hayley Matthews and Sophie Molyneux came up to me at different times over that weekend and said, there's something about this team, there's something about this group, I think we've got the cattle to win it. And they were completely separate conversations. They hadn't had a conversation beforehand. And that sort of gave me some great belief, Whitey, that, well, maybe we can actually do something amazing here. We won those two games. The Strikers was a terrific win. And so it was a pertinent time for that conversation to be had, that, girls, we've got some believers in this group. You need to start believing in yourself more. And that came from the coaches as well as the players. And that certainly drove the season.
Helmo, you've so many movement. There was sort of Capsey left when you didn't think she was going to leave, a Molyneux injury, a Vlamic injury, a Dubrow injury. There were so many ups and downs. How do you navigate that in such a condensed period of time?
Yeah, I think it goes back to our game strategy and what our main pillars were, and that was calmness, clarity and confidence. And I think we just stuck to those processes. So no matter who was in our squad, who was playing, Curb, we just stayed steadfast to our approach, and even getting, Boris Becker from WA when Soph got injured. We saw her in the Spring Challenge, and she actually bowled really well to us. So we just tried to stick fat to our, like I said, our plans and our strategic plans. And whether people got injured or weren't available, or even if players were out of form, we tried to stick fat to our method. And I'm pleased that the girls did that. And losing the first two games, Kirby, that might not have happened. We could have all of a sudden become distracted. We could have been worried about one's own personal, individual performance rather than the team, but that never faltered. And that's where I'll keep going back to our leaders. Hayley taking the reins when Soph was injured. Georgia Wareham stood up as a vice-captain. She doesn't love speaking in front of a group. She doesn't even love being a vice-captain. But her involvement with the fielding group, she really took ownership of the fielding group. She's a great fielder, as we know, George. So just those little bits and pieces, I think, helped us stay on track, even when things were, a bit difficult.
I remember we chatted before the season started, and you sort of looked back on 2009, the season that was, and went, there were about 4, 5, 6 games maybe that were really close that we lost. I'm curious then, when you start a season coming off that one where you finished dead last, you've won 2 games of cricket, you have this belief in we want to be bold, we want to be aggressive, that's the way that we want to play, and we've recruited accordingly. And then you start with 2 losses, and one of them was pretty close. How do you stay, I love that language around confident, calm and composed. What does that look like going into that weekend at the Junction that you've just referred to?
Yeah, we didn't change. All we had to try and do was take away the word win and the stress of trying to win. And I just remember that particular day, we did all our strategic planning and our preparation, both in opposition conditions and our own roles. And then we blanked the TVs out, we took off the videos, we put the bits of paper away, and we just looked at each other and we asked each other why we play the game, why we love playing together, what are the important things in life that got us to where we've got to. So we sort of had a holistic reflection piece, I suppose, Kirby, and that was to say to ourselves, let's stop putting so much pressure on ourselves to win. Let's keep playing the right way, but also remember why we play. The friendship, the enjoyment, the family, all the stuff that we have around the place. And it was sort of like it was a relief for me, the way in which the girls talk to each other about those things. And I think it was a relief for the players too. So I think the coaches got that piece right at the time. And like I said, we could never have done any of that without the strong leadership of Sophie, Georgia and Hayley. They continually drove the messages and continually lived what we set out to do. And I think that's why I give them great credit.
I want to spend a bit more time talking about the leaders in a moment, Helmo. The other thing in amongst that why and that perspective, we can't not talk about Josie Dooley and that famous shirt that cruised around with you during the tournament as well. That's such an atypical circumstance to have a player that was to be part of your squad, then not only not able to play in the sense of a Vlemic with a shoulder, but a life-changing event that happened in her life. Where do you think that plays into that why we play purpose, simplicity of having perspective for the group?
Yeah, no, it's a really good point, Kirby. And you wrote a fantastic story on the Dooley situation, a couple of months before. It gives perspective, a near-death experience, one of our sisters and one of our players who is so important for the group. You know her well. She's such a vibrant personality. So to have her not in the dressing room day in, day out and playing for us, was a big shock for the group. But she still came in, was still part of the group. And Sophie Molyneux made sure that happened. And the shirt was symbolic. For the 6 games that Josie wasn't with us, that shirt, was by the door with some creative language on the back of that shirt of "Don't stuff it up." And it was just a great connection piece for Josie, her family, and how much we value her. And that was just probably another part of gave girls some real incentive to say, "Hey, great opportunity for us. We're still out there playing the game that we love, and we love Jose." And she was incredibly important. She turned up at our team meeting the day before the game of the final, and just such an impressive person. Kirby, she's the only person I know that can make a horrible situation into a positive. I remember she sent me some footage of her golf swing and also swinging the cricket bat while she's doing rehab. And she said, "Helmo, the only good thing about having this stroke, I keep my head still now and I hit through the offside." And I thought, that's just insane, amazing.